Sorry, I was setting up my phone so that I could record this because I don't have to use it to read. I am going to be reading a monologue from Fahrenheit 451, one of, if not my favorite book that I have completely read. And I think that this is actually very relevant to today because, well, this book is about censorship. This is one of the monologues from early on in the first quarter of the book from Captain Beatty, the fire captain, and the main antagonist of this film, or not film, movie, not movie, book. I'm very good with words. This is actually pretty long. My dad pointed that out. He was like, "That's like 5 pages." I'm like, I have seen a man sit on this stage for 20 minutes. It's fine. There is dialogue, but it's like not consequential to what was being said, so I'm just gonna skip it. So yeah, this is not the entire monologue, but it's most of it. A decent section of it. I think it's got some of the best parts in it. So, all right. When did it all start, you ask? This job of ours. How did it come about? Where? When? Well, I'd say it got started around about a thing called the Civil War. Even though our rule book claims that it was founded earlier, the fact is we didn't get along well until photography came into its own. Then, motion pictures in the early 20th century, radio, television, things began to have mass. And because they had mass, they became simpler. Once, books appealed to a few people here, there, everywhere. Then they could afford to be different. The world was roomy, but then the world got full of eyes and elbows and mouths, double, triple, quadruple the population. Films and radios, magazines, books leveled down to a sort of paste pudding norm. Do you follow me? Picture it, 19th century man with his horse, dogs, carts, slow motion. Then the 20th century, speed up your camera. Books cut shorter, condensation, digests, tabloids. Everything boils down to the gag, the snag ending. Classics cut into 15-minute radio shows, then cut again to fill a 2-minute book column, winding up at last as a 10 or 12-line dictionary resume. I exaggerate, of course. The dictionaries were for reference, but many were those who sole knowledge of Hamlet. You know the title, certainly Montag. It is probably only a faint rumored title to you, Mrs. Montag. Those sole titles, whose sole title, as I say, of Hamlet is a 1-page digest in a book that claimed, "Now, at last you can read all the classics. Keep up with your neighbors." Do you see? Out of the nursery into the college and back into the nursery. There's your intellectual pattern for the past 5 centuries or more. Speed up the film, Montag. Quick, pick, look. I, now, flick, here, there, swift, pace, up, down, in, out, why, how, who, what, where, bang, smack, wallop, bing, bong, boom. Digests. Digests. Politics. 1 word, 1 column, 2 sentences, a headline. Then, in midair, all vanishes. Hands of publishers, exploiters, broadcasts. The centrifuge flings off all unnecessary time-wasting thought. School is shortened, discipline relaxed, philosophies, histories, languages dropped, English and spelling gradually neglected, finally almost ignorant. Life is immediate, the job counts, the pleasure lies all about after work. Why learn anything save pressing buttons, pulling switches, flipping nuts and bolts? The zipper displaces the button and a man lacks just that much time to think while dressing at dawn. A philosophical hour is thus a melancholy hour. Life becomes one pratfall, Montag. Every bang, boff, wow. Empty the theaters, save for the clowns, and furnish the rooms with glass walls and pretty colors running up and down the walls like confetti or blood or sherry or sauterne. You like baseball, don't you, Montag? Do you like You like bowling, don't you, Montag? And golf and and basketball, billiards, pools, football, more sports for everyone, group spirit, fun, and you don't have to think. Organize and super organize, super sports, more cartoons and books, more pictures, the mind drinks less and less, impatience, highways full of crowds, line refugees. Clown towns turn into motels, people into nomadic surges from place to place, following the moon tides, living tonight in the room where you slept this noon and I the night before. Now let's take up the minorities of our civilization, shall we? Bigger the population, the more minorities. Don't step on the toes of the dog lovers, the cat lovers, the doctors, lawyers, merchants, chiefs, Mormons, Baptists, Unitarians, second generation Chinese, Swedes, Italians, Germans, Texans, Brooklynites, Irishmen, people from Oregon or Mexico. The people in this book, this play, this TV serial are not meant to represent any actual painters, cartographers, mechanics anywhere. The bigger your market, Montag, the less you handle controversy. Remember that. All the minor minorities with their navels to be kept clean, authors full of evil thoughts, lock up your typewriters. They did. Magazines became a nice blend of vanilla tapioca. Books, so the damned snobbish critics said, were dishwater. No wonder books stopped selling, the critics said. But the public, knowing what it wanted, spitting happily, let the comic books survive. And three-dimensional sex magazines, of course. Then, there you have it, Montag. It didn't come from the government down. There was no dictum, no declaration, no censorship. To start with, no technology, mass exploitation, and the minority pressure carried the trick. Thank God. Today, thanks to them, you can sure carry the trick. Thank God. You can stay happy all the time. You are allowed to read comics in the good old confessions and trade journals. What more easily explained than natural, with schools churning out more runners, jumpers, racers, trinketers, grabbers, snatchers, flyers, and swimmers instead of the examiners, critics, knowers, and imaginative creatives. The word intellectual became, of course, the swear it deserves to be. You always dread the unfamiliar. Surely you remember the boy in your own school class who was exceptionally bright, did most of the reciting and answering while the others sat like so many laden idols, hating him. And wasn't it the bright boy who you selected for your beatings and tortures after school? Of course it was. We must all be alike. Not everyone is born free and equal, as the Constitution says, but everyone is made equal. Each man the image of every other. Then all are happy, and there is no mountain to make them cower to judge themselves against. So, a book is a loaded gun in the house next door. Burn it. Take the shot from the weapon. Breach man's mind. Who knows who might be the target of a well-read man? Me? I won't stomach them for a minute. And so, when houses were finally fireproofed, completely all over the world, you were correct in your assumption the other night. There was no longer a need for firemen of the old purpose. They were given a new job as custodians of our peace of mind, the focus of our understandable and rightful dread of being inferior. Official censors, judges, and executioners. That's you, Montag, and that's me. You must understand that our civilization is so vast that we can't have the minorities upset and stirred. Ask yourself, what do we want in this country all above? We want people to be happy. Isn't that right? Haven't you heard it all your life? I want to be happy, people say. Well, aren't they? Don't we keep them moving? Don't we give them fun? That's all we live for, isn't it? For pleasure, for titillation. And you must admit, our culture provides plenty of these. Colored people don't like Little Black Sambo, burn it. White people don't feel good about Uncle Tom's Cabin, burn it. Someone's written a book on tobacco and cancer of the lungs. The cigarette people are weeping, burn the book. Serenity, Montag, peace, Montag. Take your fight outside. Better yet, into the incinerator. Funerals are unhappy and pagan. Eliminate them too. 5 minutes after a person is dead, he is on the way to the big flue, the incinerators serviced by the helicopters all over the country. 10 minutes after a death, a man is a speck of black dust. Let's Let's not quibble over individuals or memoriams. Forget them. Burn all. Burn everything. Fire is bright. Fire is clean.